I am about to tell you guys a story, and this story I'm about to tell you, I've never told anyone. This will be my first time revealing this, and it is quite shocking. Now, I don't want any of you guys to feel sorry for me or feel like, I did something wrong, or maybe I should have did something differently. I just want you to listen to my story. So, let me see how I can begin this story. I guess I'll start from... Okay, I guess I'm gonna start from the time that I actually moved to this new state. Well, no, I'm gonna start the story from the first time I was abducted by this guy. So, the first time I remember, I met this guy. Of course, you always meet him on the internet. So I met him on the internet, and we met. So I met this guy on the internet, and of course we met, and I didn't tell him where I lived at. I told him to meet me down the street where I live from, and he came and picked me up. We were supposed to go to a restaurant, but for some strange reason, he stopped at a gas station and he told me to get out his car. And I'm looking like, why do you want me to get out your car? And he got me out the car and he told me to turn around. And with me, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he just want to see my body. I don't know, so I just get out the car, I turn around and let him see my body. So I'm waiting to go to the restaurant, and we just riding around until it's like, to some point, he got the music blasting, all these songs and stuff like that, and I'm like what? I'm scared to even say anything, because I know at this point I'm never going back home. I can feel it. I just know I'm never going back to my house. So finally we stopped, and I'm thinking, okay, and I so nervous, I'm not even looking out the window, and I know the first thing when you get abducted by someone, you always supposed to pay attention to your surroundings, but I didn't do that. I was so petrified to where I was just sunk down in the chair, just trying to figure out, do I jump out the car? What do I do? Because it's it was always been told to me, just looking at different things of people that's been abducted, don't ever, never, ever go to that second place, because that's normally the place that they're gonna hurt you at. But I got to that second place, and I knew that was gonna be the end of me. I didn't know what to do. But with me, for a long time, I always been able to talk to people, get myself out of situations. And that's exactly what I planned on doing if he gave me a chance to talk. So I'm at this point waiting to see what happened next. And, he gets out the car, and I'm thinking, can I just run? What? I don't know. And it's he so fast, he on the other end of the car, and I'm on the other side of the car, and he's just standing there looking at me, and I'm okay. So he tells me to walk in the house, and if I scream, what's gonna happen. So I'm already just afraid, extremely afraid. I know this is it for me. I don't know at this point what to do. But I'm thinking, what do I say? How do I get out of this? And some just said, you know how when you about to leave this world and everything you have done just passed right before your eyes? I had it happen once when I worked at this like grocery store, and someone had put a to my head, and they was robbing a store, and I could just see my life flashing by. So anyway, and so he takes me in his house. And no, it's not an abandoned house. It's like a regular house. Like you would think a family lived in this home. So I wasn't like that afraid, but just knowing that I was in someone's home and I've been abducted, I was like afraid, but I was thinking in my mind I can maybe talk to him. So he tied me up. He put me in this, it was like a little small room, like an office, and he set me in there, and I'm like just waiting and waiting. And like about 30 minutes later, he come back in, and he's just staring at me. And I'm asking him, I'm like, I know, I look him like dead in his face, and I'm like, I know what you about to do to me. And I was like, can I just talk to you? Can I talk to you? Can I just tell you? And he didn't say anything. He just stared at me. He was just looking at me. And I'm like, so I just started telling him about my life. Like I was telling him, I was like, the first thing I said to him, I'm like, I don't want you to feel sorry for me for what I'm about to tell you. I don't want you to think I'm trying to talk my way out of this. I just want you to listen to me. So at this point, I didn't talk this much. I knew he wanted to hear what I had to say. Because I know most victims, when they get abducted, they cry. And that was like, I was so in shock. I couldn't even I couldn't yell. I was just in shock. The only thing was calmness came over me. I just wanted him to know my story before anything happened to me. So I started by telling him about this one guy I was dating for like 2 years, and everything seemed fine. Like he was just like the nerdiest dude you could possibly come by. Like just so nice. Every night we had our little couple arguments, but everything was fine. And at the end of our relationship, he did started changing. It's like a dark change came. It's almost like he became jealous of not just of other guys, but jealous of me as a person. It was weird. Like the vibe was just off. And one night we was laying in bed, and he told me the story about this girl that was very beautiful, and how acid was thrown on her face. And I'm like, I looked at him, I'm like, are you planning on throwing acid in my face? Like, why are you telling me this story? Like, what? Like, and he just got quiet. And he gave me this stare, and he just turned around and went to sleep. And at that point, I knew that I had to leave that state. So I did the unthinkable. This what got me in this predicament in the first place. I was even sitting in this fucking room with this guy. So anyway, I get on Instagram. There's a state that I know I can go to get away from this guy, so there's a state that I know I can go to, and I found someone in that state, and I've been talking to this guy for a long time, so I kind of know him, but I don't personally know him. But I convinced him to come to my state and put my stuff on the U-Haul and give me. I don't tell him about the guy and how I'm scared that I'm gonna get hurt. I just tell him to come, and he flies to my state, and he takes me to another state to live. So I'm telling this guy, listen, at this point he looking kind of bored, like, okay. And I'm just nervous. I'm like, and I'm trying to go through my mind like everything that has happened, and then I tell him, I go back to my childhood, like when I tell him, like when I was in high school, and I was freaking bullied every day. Even the teachers were absolutely mean to me. And even like now, people still, like, I have a problem with like being friends with people because people still bully me. They still, like, it's just something about me. I don't know, like, I wish I had friends and I wish people didn't look at me the way they did, but because I was bullied when I was little, I turned into like this little gawk chick. And most of my tattoos are more about, it's not like the ghetto shit, it's more about like, it's like vampire tattoos and stuff like that. So like I was deep into it, but I still kept myself closed in. And I was telling him all this. I'm like, I've been bullied, and I don't know, I was just closed off on the. So yeah, I'm just, closed off from the world. It's like I started like really disliking people a lot. Like, just, I don't know, it's just a lot of stuff to go in this world, and you just think to yourself, how and why and what and for why. I couldn't understand it. I didn't even want to understand it. I just trapped myself in this world, and I kept myself in a bubble. And when I moved to a new state, because I was in this bubble, I already, like, in the state I was in, I still didn't talk to anybody. I was in this bubble, and most of the time it's just me and a guy I'm with. I don't never just bring people into my bubble. But I changed my life. I started meditating. I started understanding Buddhism. I started, like, told him I, like, completely changed my life. But it was one thing lacking. I didn't even have a boyfriend. Nothing. Like, I was just by myself here every single day, meditating, doing yoga, trying to, like, transform my life into something beautiful. And I started feeling the transformation. I started feeling better. I love people. I always have. It's just I dislike them. I love nature, people, animals, drawn to me. And anyway, so I was like telling him this, and and I started telling him this story about this one guy that I was with. At this point, I'm lonely. I don't have no one to talk to. So I remember my car having a flat. So I went to this place where it's fixed flats at. And it was this little young guy, and he was so tiny and fragile and little. Didn't think he would hurt a fly. And I talked to him, and he was helping put the tire on my car. And I'm thinking, okay. So he was like, can I get your number? And he could speak English. He was Cuban. And I'm like, no, but I'll give you my Facebook, because that's what I do. I don't give people my number. Like, when I meet them like that, I give them my Facebook. So we started talking through Facebook, and one day I was like, okay, I'll hook up with you. So I hook up with this little miniature guy, and we go on to a movie theater. I'm in a movie theater acting up. If you know what I mean, I'm acting up. Like, I'm just acting up. He couldn't wait to get home, because it's like, it's just going to be like a little one-night stand. It ain't going to be nothing serious. I'm just going to, whatever. Bring him to my home. And we get real, like, we started doing everything, like, everything. It was just, time for him to go home that same day, because I didn't plan on for him to spend the night. Like, it was just a one-night stand. And I'm looking at this guy, the adult thing, he looking at me like, So I'm looking at this guy while I'm telling the story, and at some point you can see the expressions changing on his face, something like that. So I'm like, okay. So I get into the story. I tell him, I'm like, so yo, I'm trying to take this little guy home and drop him off. And while I'm dropping him off, he won't get out of my car. Now I have like at this time I had only 50,000 followers on Twitter. I'm on Instagram Live too, recording this. Like, look at him. He won't get out of my car or make, like, you know what I'm saying? He just literally, hours pass by. He's still not getting out of my car. So I'm like what the? I'm thinking this like some kind of joke or something. Like, what am I missing here? Why is this little boy still in my freaking car? So I'm like, I'm gonna have to call the cops on you, because like it's like dark outside and you still in my car. He was like, no, take me back to your house. I give in. I bring him back to my house when he shouldn't have been in my house in the first place. He gets to my house. We do the same shit again. Like, you know, he young. Like, the boy like 18, 19. Like, it's just, I'm giving it to him. Next day, I'm getting up, looking at him, waking him up. It's time to go. Won't leave. When I was asleep, what I didn't know, he was walking around my house, probably trying to see how to get in and get out. I don't know. But all I know is the next day, he will not leave. And the next day. And I'm practically sitting here just begging him to go. So I'm begging this tiny little boy to go home. Again, I don't feel intimidated by him. You know, I'm just like, okay. So, finally, he started doing something really weird to me. He would stare at me while I was asleep. And then at some point, he did start hitting on me. I'm just like, what the, like, I'm really off in one of these relationships, like, and it's not even a relationship. Like, I just met this dude. I had sex with him. It was supposed to be a one-night stand, and he's in my house and he will not leave, and he's beating on me. And at some point, I had to, like, call the cop. I'm like, you have to go. So when I threatened him and knew I was going to call the cops one day, he took off. This dude started breaking in my house almost every night, doing whatever he wants to me. Even if I told him to leave, I honestly think he was sleeping in my attic. I don't know how this boy was coming in my house. And it got to the point where I was like, I gotta think of something. I can't go through this. Like, my life is just a nightmare at this point. I thought, like, to myself, what I do. Again, I'm like, I know I'm gonna find a dude to run him off. So I get back on the internet. Well, I didn't meet him on the internet, but I get on the internet and I find the biggest, tallest dude I can find and tell him to come talk. So I get this dude off the internet to come to my house, like, and I'm telling him the story. I'm like, this little dude messing with me. He won't come out. I'm telling him everything, and he like his chest. I'm like, I just need somebody to be here for me. Would you be here for me? And he like, yeah, let him come over here. I want him. So I'm standing outside, like, thinking, like, time going by, and I know this dude gonna want to come in my house, and I'm thinking I don't want to bring him. I'm standing outside because I'm waiting for the little dude to pull up, like, to start walking down the street. Never show up. So at this point, the dude getting restless. I have my friend and her boyfriend in the house. So I bring him in the house, so I'm not that intimidated because there's already someone in there. So we sit in my room. Me and this dude I just met. We just sitting there. And I'm like, damn, how am I going to get rid of him? And all of a sudden, the side window where I'm at, I just hear it raising up. He comes through the window and just start going crazy. And this big old dude that's supposed to have my back, you know what he do? He take off running. This boy probably I'm 5'5"? He about 5'5". He a little bit short. This other dude, 6 foot, he takes off running and go in the kitchen and grabs a butter knife. Not a sharp knife. No, a butter knife. And he's standing in another room, hiding with a butter knife, and leave his phone in the room. The little dude, we both locked in the room together. He didn't lock the door. At this point, I'm over it. I'm like, I cannot believe this big old tall guy is running from me. And the little guy is just going crazy. My friend's trying to bust down the room to come in there to get him. And the little dude just, I don't know, he started chasing out the dude down the street somewhere. It's just freaking chaos. The next day, it's over. At least I think it's over. I'm like, that should have did it right there. But I know since he intimidated that big old ass dude, he gonna come back. And the next day, this boy broke my ribs. He fractured my nose. I was in the hospital. He put me in the hospital. And getting your ribs broke is the worst feeling I ever felt. I done had surgeries. Getting your ribs broke, oh my God. It was painful. It was so painful. I didn't know what to do. Like, even now, I'm thinking about that pain. It hurts so bad. So bad. And I was in the hospital. And my sister called me. Because my sister, for some reason, was at my house. She said, "You're not going to believe this. This boy is at the house right now." And for some reason, while I was in the hospital, the police was there. And I was about to leave out the hospital. I was like, my sister at home by herself, and he's there. And they was like, who's there? And like, the helicopters, they was all looking for, so the helicopters was looking for him. Everybody, the police, everybody had my house surrounded. It was freaking insane. They end up catching him. He go to jail. He's not from the United States, so he got deported. And at this point, I wanted was peace. I was like, no more. And like the guy, my abductor, was looking at me, and I could see I had his full attention. He thought that was the end of it, but no, that was not the end of my story. And I looked at him. I'm like, I need to go on. Like, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me. And I started to tell him. So it took me a whole year to like even go outside. Like, I don't even know how I was breathing because I was in shock. I didn't know what to do. Like, my life was just, I was shaking every time I got in my car. I knew this guy was in jail, but I was still, what he did to me, it hurt in my body, my mind, my soul. It hurted so bad. So bad for someone to do me like that. It hurted so bad. It hurted so bad. And I said, I'm not going to talk to anyone anymore. That's it for me. I'm done. But as time went on, I started to get lonely. Again, I was still so messed up from childhood, bullying, and even like how society, like, it's just in a bubble. So I met another guy. And this guy, I'm thinking, okay. And he looked it okay. He didn't look like, again, looks are very deceiving, because if I just, you know. And I didn't plan on like really being with him, but then again, I kind of wanted to feel secure. I wanted to feel like I was secure. But again, same stuff. He would punch holes in my wall. He would hit on me. It'd be incidents where I just I just don't understand. I just thought that he called me ugly. Or the time, he would look at me and tell me how ugly I am. He would say the most hurtful things, and I started believing that I was ugly. I did not want to show my face. I would wear my hair just like right, just nobody could see. I would feel so. Never in my life have I could know that a human being can make you feel so ugly. And I'm like going through this. So one day he went overboard. I caught him in the backyard beating on a dog. Now you guys know how much I love animals. Like, don't mess with animals and plants and stuff like that. He was socking the dog in the face, and I was like, what the? That was it for me. I literally went nuts. Took the beats for him, and I scared to fight back because I tried to fight back the last guy. Ended up with my ribs broken, and I was scared to fight him back because he was even a little bigger than him. So I'm like, what do I do? So he beat the dog in the face. I love animals, like I really do, and he beating this dog in the face, and I'm like, I can't take it. I call the cops. Cops get there. They say that's his property and he could do whatever he want. These police officers didn't even arrest him. I was so mad. I had like 20 police officers here. I'm like, how could y'all let him beat an animal and say he could do what he want to do because it's his property? After he had been beating on me, like, what? I swear to God. Like, they said that dog was his property and he could do whatever he wanted with it. I don't know. They supposed to protect us, and I would think animals too, but that dog was not protected. And I absolutely went nuts. My mom ended up in my house, my sisters, my family, everybody came, and I told them, I'm gonna hurt him. If y'all leave me, I told the cops, if y'all leave me here, I'm gonna hurt this guy. Get me out of here, cause it's gonna be a war tonight. So they sent me to like a little doctor or whatever, or overnight evaluation thing, cause they was trying to separate us, but they didn't want to take me to jail. So I went there. Next day, he's still in my house. And at this point, I'm like, no. What I did was I moved all my stuff out the house and put it off in, like a container, like, what is it called? The U-Haul place or storage place. I put it in storage. Everything. Cut all the lights. Everything. So, at this point, like, I moved all my stuff out, cut all the lights off, trying to get this guy out of my house. At this point, I'm just like, what do I do? So, after that, I move out and move in my sister's house. Weeks later, I come and he's still in my house. He's just sitting in this empty house every day. I'm talking to his mom. I'm like, please just get your son out of my house. Like, and it's like nothing working. He won't leave. And I'm like, what do I do to make this dude leave? And I'm thinking, what I did the first time. Call someone. So I called this guy that I knew from another guy, and he comes, and I tell him to meet me somewhere, and I was like, yo, he know the deal because he helped me move my stuff out, you know. And the whole time he was like, when he was helping me move my stuff out, they was telling him to leave and they was trying to talk to him, but you know, the dude was acting stupid. He even tried to like, they was trying to get into a confrontation, and I'm like, you fight me, but you won't fight him. Like, okay, that go figures. Just like a coward, you hit me, but anyway, so at some point I came back to the house and we was all there, And we was still moving stuff out the house. Tell me why this dude go get a lighter and some paper and try to set my house. So tell me why this dude get a lighter. And I had a poster that was from the wall that was left from the move out. He started lighting it, trying to set my house on fire. This boy is literally trying to set the house on fire with me and him in it. I'm telling the story to the guy, and I'm like almost tears in my eyes, and I can see some kind of human inside, some kind of empathy for me. I can see him looking at me, feeling really sad, and I'm like, yo, I've been through it. I don't even know if I want to go into detail on how the guy finally left, but the last part of the story, like, about this, how, like, the guy that was about to set my house on fire is kind of, like, crazy. Because, like, at this point, I'm like, me and the other guy goes in the house. Now, this dude I know he's afraid of. We stay in this abandoned house. My house is abandoned. All my stuff gone. But the guy is in there. So we in this house. I'm already kind of like, damn, there's nothing here. Dude already tried to set my house on fire. I just don't know what to do. So I'm still having to take out, like, I know, like, I have to do something with this guy because he here to try to help me. And he, like, he wanna, like, do some stuff. And I'm, like, getting scared. I'm, like, time going by. And I'm, like, damn, gotta. And I start, like, easing my, I'm, like, I don't know what to do. And finally, before the stuff got serious between me and him, he at the door, unlocking the door with my keys, coming in my house. And see, so at this point, he's unlocking the door. He's coming in the house. He sees us in a moonlight because there's no light. Remember, I cut the lights off. He tried to cut them back on, but I had got them disconnected. Like, and he looking. And I'm like, yeah. Let me, because I know it's like he don't want to leave because he think he gonna get me back. And it's like, no. And that's that part I was showing him. I'm not coming back. I'm done with you. I'm going to be with him. And he looks, and guess what he do? He calls the cops and says somebody done broke in his house and they smoking weed and he want him out, which the dude did have that on him. So it's like we left. But the next day, he contacted me and was like, you know what? You can have your house back. I'm leaving. And he finally left. And I finally moved back into my home. It was just insane. And I'm looking at the dude, my abductor, and I'm telling him, I'm like, yo, I know, like, these stories might not touch you or you feel sorry, but I'm like telling my abductor that just let me live a moment of happiness. I've been in childhood, bad thing happened to me in childhood that completely changed my life and made me grow up so fast and took my innocence away. Just let me live. I was asking him just to let me live. Let me live. Let me know. It's like, just let me live. Just let me live. Just, even if I have to be with you, just let me live happiness. Just let me experience it. I'm tired of going through this. And I had tears in my eyes. I was like, I didn't know what else to do. He got up. He went in the kitchen. And he came back. He had a sharp object. And I just knew that was it. And this man, he untied me. He untied me. I thought, like, he was gonna let me go. And I was so happy. He untied me. He cut the tie. I'm sorry. Give me a moment. I'm so sorry. I just had to stop and breathe. Cause like, I'm thinking it's all over. Like, I'm thinking he gonna let me go. But I never thought what would happen next happened. He finally started to talk to me, and he told me he was gonna give me a normal life. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he was like, I'm gonna give you the life that you want. I don't know exactly what he's saying, but I know in my heart that not only my life is about to change, and I ended up being there for a whole year. And at some point, I don't know what happened. I didn't even want to run away from him anymore. I thought, my first thought was to tell him these stories so I could escape him. Like, you know, like one day I'll build his trust. But I ended up just like not wanting to go. Just trying to understand this man. We never talked much. He did things to me and I did things to him, and I let it go on and on. He let me still do the things I wanted to do for where I worked. Like, I didn't go to work, I worked from home, and he let me keep working from his house, and I did. And it got to the point where I think I even started to care about this monster. At some point, in my mind, I started forgetting how I even got at that house. I started to believe that he could love me. And he was like, I started to think, like, maybe he do care about me. But one thing happened that changed my entire mind. Because at some point, like, he was letting me go and come as I please. But I could always feel like he was watching me. Like, I felt it. Like, I just knew that sometime I would look and feel like I want to run, and my phone would just ring and it would be him. Like, it's like he was in my head or he was watching me. I don't know. But at some point I woke up. Because I remember one night I was sleeping. And I heard and something woke me up. And I know in my heart what it was. I was froze and I did not. It felt like the first night that he abducted me, when I was frozen in that car. And I felt frozen. Just like that night I was riding around in that car with him. I was frozen, vulnerable. Everything I thought I had for him cleared off, feelings all gone. Cause I could hear someone moaning. Just a slight moan. It could have been an animal, whatever, I don't know. I just went right back to sleep. I didn't want to know. The next day, I know I had to go. I had to make my escape. I knew it. And I left him. I just left everything all the clothes, all the jewelry, all the stuff he gave me. I just left it. I left everything. And I just called my dad. I ended up just getting on the bus and just leaving. And I left. And I went to another state. And I never called the cops. This is my first time ever telling anybody this story. I just never thought to even do anything. I don't know. But I made it. I feel like I'm a survivor. I survived being abducted. And I'm so happy. People have their stories, I know, and I don't know. All I know is that's mine, and I made it. I got through it. And now, I met someone else, and my life is better. I have nightmares still. I still think about, I still wake up, I still shake, I still sometimes, like when I'm walking, sometimes when I'm even talking, no matter what, it's always there. I always think he might come back and get me. He might hurt me. But I think if he wanted to, he would have already came back already. He would have traced me. I think he wanted me to leave. He wanted me to be free. So that's my story, guys. If you ever find yourself in my situation, try to talk your way through it, out of it, for survival. Please don't get in the car with people you don't know. Don't talk to strangers. Don't protect yourself, women. Be strong. Like, don't get caught up like I did. Like, do it. Guys, always let somebody know your location. Always share your location with somebody. Don't share your location with somebody that's hurting you or controlling your life. With a friend, a family member. Be careful. You have to be careful in this world. Because I don't want what happened to me to happen to you. You might not have that story to tell. You might not even be strong enough to nothing but yells and yelling and screaming and coming out of your mouth. But I was strong enough to talk to this man. So yeah, that's my story.